Welcome. I am Mark, the host of this channel and the creator of all the works presented here. Although I offer my stories, plays, and poems free of charge for your enjoyment, please remember that I retain copyright privileges to all of them. Thus far on Dramas, Dreams, and Drolleries, viewers have experienced 3 short stories: Talkin' Trash, Why Grandpas Don't Wear Earrings, and Blind Date. Now, in mid-November 2019, I offer 2 more short stories, one of which is very brief, and let's begin with it. It's called Wally's Lament. It's a theme familiar to all parents. Families always pick on their youngest member. Now, don't tell me that's not true. I speak from experience. The older members are bigger, stronger, and smarter. That gives them the capacity to dominate. But you'd think they would use that power with restraint. We live in America, a land that cherishes democracy and fair play. No other society in the world places greater emphasis on equality. Racial equality, ethnic equality, gender equality, religious equality. People are willing to die to uphold the idea of one person, one vote. Why then is there a blind spot in the American vision of justice? Why is there no equality of age? I concede that in recent years, adjustments have been made to protect the rights of senior citizens. But those rights have not been extended to the younger set. On the contrary, the laws of this land disadvantage the young. One cannot vote, drink alcohol, make contracts, or engage in sexual activity illegally before a certain age. At the same time, minors, even the word itself is abhorrent and degrading, minors can be compelled to do many things, such as going to school and obeying their parents. Some people call these laws protective of youth. I call them discriminatory and unjust. But even among the young, there's a pecking order. Teens lord it over their younger siblings. Middle schoolers scoff at elementary schoolers. In the end, it's the one at the bottom of the totem pole, that is the youngest, who gets the worst of it all. And it's common for all the oldest members of the family to gang up on its most youthful component. Take me, for instance. My name is Wally. I'm the youngest and most abused member of the Howard family. Dad Gene is 36, Mother Andrea is 34, Brother Stan is 12, Sister Sue is 10, and I'm only 7. We live in a big 2-story house in Ardmore, Oklahoma. I was born in the house, and I've never been out of Ardmore in my whole life. 4 years ago, when I was 3, the family took a vacation in New Orleans and left me with Grandma Howard. That's one of these acts of discrimination that I was talking about. Restrictions on my movements go way beyond that single vacation. They extend to the house itself. Would you believe that at age 7, I am denied entry to parts of my own home? It's true. Dad and Mom tell me to stay out of their room. Stan gets positively furious when I go into his room. Sue's is the only bedroom I can enter without someone yelling at me. Mom chases me out of the kitchen. She's afraid I'm going to sample some of the food. Mom is the best cook in the whole wide world. She lures me into the kitchen with those mouth-watering aromas, and then she tells me to get out without letting me taste anything. Is that fair? What hurts most of all is the favoritism my parents display towards Stan and Sue. Mom and Dad read stories to them, but never to me. I think they think I'm too young to understand. They let my brother and sister play in the front yard, but I'm allowed to play only in the enclosed backyard. How it burns me to hear them say that it protects me from the traffic in the street. Mom and Dad let Stan and Sue go alone to the market. I never get to go there. Again, it's supposed to be for my own good. Bah, I know better. Somewhere, there's an unwritten law that compels parents to stick it to their youngest progeny. Perhaps it's encoded in the genes. Any way you look at it, abuse of the most youthful is a rule in any family. Now, from what I've said, you may have formed the impression that I don't love those around me. Well, you'd be wrong. I do love them. What I detest is their tendency to patronize me and to deprive me of privileges to which I'm entitled. Nothing in life gives me more pleasure than to sit in the laps of Mom or Dad and hear them say nice things about me. I feel so warm and cozy at those times. But events of that sort can be followed immediately by episodes of torment. I've tried to analyze the situation, why the abrupt turnabouts in sentiment, and above all, why the denial of equal rights. Lately, I've found it hard to suppress a lurking suspicion that my family treats me differently just because I'm a cat. Did that catch you by surprise? Cats do have an unpredictable nature. Speaking of unpredictable events, what are your chances of winning the big one? The lottery, that is. One lottery player finds in our second story that games of chance can be both exciting and frustrating. Give me just a second and I'll have for you the lottery ticket. Okay. Laszlo Nagy took the ticket out of his wallet and held it close to his eyes. Reading the Magyar inscription was not easy for a 43-year-old man who needed glasses, but neither the vision problem nor the discomfort of the airplane's narrow seat hampered in the least his daydream of winning the Hungarian National Lottery. He would buy a beautiful house in Milwaukee for his family. He would send money to his aged parents in Budapest, and he would send Sandor to a fine private school. Nora, seated beside him, knew exactly what was going through her husband's mind. Many times in their Wisconsin home, she had heard him tell of all the things they would do if he won the big one. How ironic it would be to capture the Hungarian lottery, she thought. They had gone to America 15 years earlier because their native land offered few opportunities to make money. But it didn't really matter whether Laszlo won the Hungarian lottery or the Wisconsin lottery or any other lottery. He deserved to win something. His bad back and bent fingers attested to years of sacrifice and hard work. Any stranger looking at his rough, worn face would judge him to be 60. In the seat on the other side of Laszlo, 13-year-old Sandy reminisced about his 2-week vacation in Hungary. He had enjoyed nearly everything except for the sunburn that he got at Lake Balaton. What a strange character was Uncle Zoltan, and what a great cook was Aunt Eva. The boy took out his video game and was about to play when he noticed his dad looking at the lottery ticket. "How much do you get if you win?" Sandy asked. About $5 million. We'd be very rich." "How will you know if you do win? The contest is in Budapest and we'll be in Milwaukee." The internet will tell us. Friday's the drawing. Mom says we don't have much chance of winning. The odds are not good. What does your mother know about numbers? She's not very skilled in mathematics. Nora said nothing. She knew the odds were terrible, but why spoil Laszlo's dreams? For Sandy, the issue was settled by his father's remarks. Dad was always right, and from the way he spoke, their chances of winning must be very good. Buoyed by parental authority, the boy's conviction that his father held the winning ticket grew to certainty by the time the airplane touched down in Chicago. On the shuttle bus to Milwaukee, Sandy daydreamed just like Laszlo of all that their family might do when the victory became official. 2 miles from their home in Elm Grove, he got his father's permission to hold the precious symbol of their future wealth. Though unable to read Magyar, Sandy memorized the magic numbers and exulted in their power. Suddenly, the boy spotted John Reese on the sidewalk. Intending to attract his good friend's attention, Sandy rolled down the window. At that moment, a strong gust of wind yanked the ticket from his hand and blew it out on the street. Sandy screamed in despair. The bus had traveled another block before the son explained to his parents what had happened. Laszlo ran to the front of the bus and asked the driver to stop, but the man refused. He had to adhere to the schedule. Nora dismissed the loss with a shrug. Laszlo gave up by the time they reached their stop. Deep inside, he knew that the ticket had little chance to win. On Saturday morning, Sandy begged his father to find the lottery result on the internet. Laszlo considered the effort futile, but he humored the boy. The winning numbers were 8, 19, 22, 39, 60, and 67. Sandy exploded. "We won! We won!" "How do you know?" Laszlo asked. "We don't have the ticket anymore." "I memorized the numbers," said Sandy. "That's the winning combination." Laszlo didn't know what to think. Could the boy be right? Did the wind blow away a fortune? While his father speculated, Sandy hopped on his bicycle and rode quickly across town to the area where he had lost the ticket. It was somewhere near the intersection of Plank Avenue and Watertown Road. For 2 hours, he scoured the vicinity as carefully as possible. Finding no trace of the ticket, he finally gave up. Just before returning home, Sandy noted a sign indicating that Tuesday was street sweeping day. At dinner that evening, the Nagys discussed their plight. With so much money at stake, they didn't want to give up easily. They decided to search the area again on Sunday. Few people in Milwaukee could read Magyar, and they alone knew that ticket to be a lottery winner. With street sweeping scheduled for Tuesday, this would be their final opportunity to reclaim the prize. The Nagys had been negligent churchgoers for several years. On this Sunday, Nora insisted that they attend services before beginning the search. Probably no family prayed more fervently than they that day. After church, they changed their clothes, had a quick bite to eat, and drove to the crucial intersection. For 4 hours, they turned over every rock and leaf within a block of the crossing. They left the site discouraged, but convinced that the ticket was not there. On Monday, Sandy went to school and related his travel experiences to other students. He said nothing about the lottery ticket. After school, he encountered John Reese for the first time. "Hey, John, I saw you on Friday when I was coming home from the airport. You were near Plank and Watertown about 4 in the afternoon." "Yeah, I was going to Devon's house, but in the street I found something real weird. It was like a ticket with strange writing on it." Sandy's heart leaped. "Do you still have it?" he asked. "Yeah." "Can I see it?" John took a paper object from his pocket. Even without a careful inspection, Sandy knew it was the lottery ticket. "I'll give you a quarter for it." "Okay." For 25 cents, Sandy had purchased a fortune. His parents were ecstatic. Laszlo went online immediately to verify the numbers and to review the rules of the contest. His son was correct. This was the winning ticket. To claim the prize, one had to present the ticket in person to a government office in Budapest within 6 months of the drawing. For this contest, the prize, when converted from forints, amounted to $5,239,000 American dollars, from which would be subtracted certain taxes and fees. Reading the last line, Laszlo made a surly remark. With all the corruption in the Hungarian government, I'll bet the fees and taxes are substantial. But he knew that whatever the final total, his family would be incredibly rich. Seating his wife and son beside him in the living room of their house, the father laid down some rules for the nouveau riche. "As excited as we are," he said, "we must be careful not to make any stupid mistakes. Until we actually have the money in our hands or in our bank account, we should say nothing to anyone about our good fortune. I've arranged a flight for me to Budapest a week from now. In the meantime, we must safeguard the ticket. Unfortunately, we have no safe in the house. I'm going to put the ticket in the top drawer of the desk in the den. It will be inside an envelope marked with a black X on the outside. No one is to touch it. Don't even open the drawer. Does everyone agree?" Nora and Sandy nodded their heads. The excitement grew in the Nagy household as the week progressed. This was better than Christmas. In days, they would be rich. Every evening, Laszlo peeked into the drawer to be sure that the envelope was in its proper place. Sandy knew the rule that he was not to touch the envelope, but the lure of the precious object was too great. Even if he could not see the ticket, the boy wanted to hold it in his hands. On Saturday morning, 2 days before his father's flight, when his parents were out of the house, Sandy went into the den, took the envelope from the desk, and closed the drawer. He sat in the chair usually occupied by his father and imagined that he was holding $5 million in cash. Suddenly, the front doorbell rang. Frightened momentarily, the boy stuck the envelope in a book resting on the desk. The sight of Jeremy Wiggins inviting him to play catch made him forget all about the envelope. That evening, Sandy remembered the envelope when he heard his father yell, "Someone has stolen the ticket!" Though reluctant to admit his negligence, the boy confessed the truth. Laszlo searched the den at once. There was no book on the desk. Nora provided the explanation. She said, "About noon, I loaned the book to Michelle Ebers." "Well, go get it quick," was her husband's remark. "I can't. Michelle and her husband just left on a fishing trip to Idaho. I put that book on the desk so I could give it to her today. She wanted something to read while Matt fished." "Can you call the airport?" They went by car. "What was their exact destination?" "I don't know. Michelle said they wanted to get away to some quiet spot, far from civilization. She wasn't even going to take a telephone." "Well, when are they coming back?" "In about 2 weeks." "Great. I hope she doesn't lose the envelope or throw it away." The 2 weeks passed slowly for the Nagys. One Sunday morning, Sandy awakened his parents with a scream. Looking out the window, he had seen the Ebers van in the driveway. They were back. Sandy wanted to rush right over and ask if they had the envelope. But his parents checked this impulse. Undoubtedly, the neighbors were asleep after having driven much of the night. How could one arouse them early without also awakening their suspicions about the envelope? It was best to be patient for a few hours. About noon, Nora paid a visit to Michelle. "So, how was your trip?" she asked. "Oh, it was wonderful. You can't believe how quiet and peaceful it was out there." "Where were you?" "In an isolated spot near Sandpoint, way in the north of the state. It gets cold up there at night." "Did you read the Sherlock Holmes book I loaned you?" "Oh, yes, thank you so much. Would you like to have it back now?" "Yes, if you don't mind." Michelle fetched the book and gave it to Nora, who immediately flipped the pages to find the envelope. Are you looking for the envelope that was in it?" "Yes. Do you know where it is?" "Oh dear, I was afraid of that. In Idaho, Matt and I wanted to mail a letter. A small store had a post office, but no envelopes. Then by chance, I found the one in your book. Though sealed, it didn't look important, so I took the liberty of opening it and using it for our letter." "What did you do with the contents of the envelope?" "Oh, you mean that ticket with a foreign Reich on it?" "Yes. I thought it might be a souvenir from your trip, so I saved it." "Oh, good. Where is it?" "Oh, I'm not sure. I know I have it somewhere. I'll look for it later." "Thanks. I really would like to have it." "Don't worry, I'll find it." The Nagys didn't hear from Michelle in the next 2 days. On the third day, Nora saw her neighbor watering plants in the front yard. She went outside, trying to appear very calm. "Hi, Michelle," she said in an indifferent manner. "Hi, Nora. I see your flowers held up well while you were gone." Nora wanted to get to the point, but she thought it best to let Michelle bring up the subject first. When 15 minutes of conversation failed to do the trick, Nora decided to take an indirect approach. Discussing the vacation in Hungary, she said, "I've been making a scrapbook with all the photos and souvenirs from the trip. It should be interesting when I finish." Michelle felt compelled to address the topic. "About that ticket," she began. "I can't seem to find it. I've looked everywhere. I hope it wasn't important to you." "Well, it was sort of important. Please continue to look." "I'm terribly sorry. I will keep looking, but I honestly believe that I've exhausted all possibilities. I hope we didn't throw it away by mistake." "I'd appreciate whatever you can do to locate it. The ticket has great sentimental value for us." What could the Nagys do now, short of breaking into their neighbor's home someday when they were away? It was frustrating to be in the hands of a forgetful person who might never recall something of such great importance. Several weeks elapsed without a sign that the Ebbers had located the ticket. By then, the Nagys had given up hope of collecting the prize. One afternoon, Nora and Michelle talked for half an hour on the sidewalk in front of their houses. At the conclusion of their talk, Michelle said casually, "Oh, by the way, I found that ticket of yours. Would you believe it? It was in my purse all the time." When Nora reported this later at home, Laszlo shouted in disgust, "Women!" Then he took the ticket from his wife. At dinner, he told his family, "Between now and the time I fly to Budapest, I am taking charge of the ticket. To prevent any foul-ups, I'm not telling either of you where I'm going to keep it." Later, when Nora and Sandy were out of sight, Laszlo sealed the ticket in another envelope and placed the envelope in the inside pocket of his only suit. Neither his wife nor his son should have any reason to get into that outfit. That evening, the evening before his scheduled flight to Budapest, the nervous man made a disturbing discovery. "Where's my suit?" he asked in despair. "It's not in the closet." Nora smiled. "We're going to the Kristen wedding next month," she said. "You haven't worn that suit in a long time, so I sent it to the dry cleaners." With luck, the Nagis were able to retrieve the suit before the cleaning process, but the delay caused Laszlo to miss the flight to Budapest. At home, with the envelope in his hand, the father informed his family of the new strategy. "I'm not taking any more chances. From now on, the ticket stays in my wallet at all times. That way, nothing can happen to it." 2 days later, Laszlo was robbed at gunpoint. The thief, a young male in a checkered shirt and a baseball cap, took only the wallet. Now, unless the police captured the bandit, the Nagis would lose their fortune once more. 2 months passed, during which Laszlo repeatedly called the police to inquire about his wallet. The thief had not been found. Hope for claiming the prize quickly faded. Then one Sunday afternoon, the Nagis were having dinner in a restaurant. Laszlo was sipping hot soup when he saw him. At the far end of the restaurant was the thief. This man, who controlled their destiny, was getting up from his table and apparently preparing to leave the restaurant. Laszlo hurriedly informed his family and said he was going to get the ticket. In his car, Laszlo trailed the bandit to a mobile home park in Greenfield. After the man had entered his residence, the pursuer got out of his vehicle and walked to the door. When the thief opened the door, Laszlo punched him in the face, driving him back into the trailer. Before the victim could recover, the attacker renewed the assault, this time knocking the man unconscious. A search of the man's pockets and the mobile home yielded a revolver and a driver's license that read, "Issued to Clarence Mulligan." Opening his eyes, the bandit found Laszlo pointing the gun at him. "2 months ago, you held me up and stole my wallet. I want it back." "Well, how can I? As you said, that was 2 months ago." "What do you do with wallets after you rob people?" "I save them." "Well, where's mine?" "Oh, I got maybe 200 of them. They're in that big drawer over there and in boxes out in the carport." "Open the drawer and start looking. If you don't find it, I'm calling the police. The one I want is brown and it contains a ticket printed in a foreign language." Laszlo was amazed at the multitude of wallets in the drawer. After an exhaustive search, none appeared to be his, but a few minutes of looking in a box of the carport produced the correct one. Incredibly, the ticket was still inside. Ignoring Clarence Mulligan, Laszlo put the ticket in his wallet and drove away in his car. That evening at home, Laszlo made an airplane reservation. Immediately afterward, he dictated to Nora and Sandy a new strategy for safeguarding the wallet. It would stay in his pocket day and night until he reached Budapest. Until Wednesday's flight, he would call in sick at work every day. His daylight hours would be spent in the den at home, and no one else could enter that room. Nora could bring his food to the den, and he would leave the room only to go to the bathroom. This time the scheme worked. Nora and Sandy accompanied him to the airport on Wednesday. The family had an emotional farewell before Laszlo boarded the plane. Considering all that had transpired in the previous few months, the lottery player kept a wary eye on everyone who came near him in the airport. He didn't sleep a wink. Reaching Budapest in early morning, Laszlo nervously and impatiently killed time at a restaurant, waiting for the opening of the government office that managed lotteries. When the doors finally opened, he had to wait an additional half hour until a clerk escorted him into an inner room. Laszlo handed the ticket to Mr. Szabo, a stiff man in a stiff business suit, who eyed him suspiciously. Then the official told him to wait some more while he confirmed the validity of the ticket. He returned, a man transformed. With a beaming face and a hand extended, Zabo congratulated the lucky winner. At a signal, other inert bureaucrats sprang to life and proffered their felicitations. Someone called for a photographer and journalists. Soon Laszlo was a focus of attention as never before in his life. After the party atmosphere had subsided, Zabo took the winner into his office to sign some documents. While receiving the papers, Laszlo posed a question that disturbed the official. Is it acceptable for me to receive the money in American dollars? A solemn demeanor replaced the gracious, smiling face of the past quarter hour. Why would you wish to do that? Asked Zabo. You are Hungarian, aren't you? Laszlo replied, No, I'm an American citizen. The official's eyes opened wide. He stroked his chin and said, I see. That changes everything. You will need to sign some different papers, and there will be additional taxes and fees inasmuch as you are a foreigner. I'm afraid you'll have to wait an hour or so. The hour or so was actually 3 hours. After signing the new documents, the American received the long-awaited check. Laszlo stared in disbelief at the paper. It read, $271.38. There must be some mistake, he sputtered. At the current exchange rate, I won over $5 million. Ah, but you neglected to factor in the taxes and fees, retorted Zabo. You mean the taxes and fees amount to $5 million? Yes, approximately. The problem is that you are American. Now, if you were Hungarian, you would receive considerably more. All the way home, Laszlo brooded over his setback. He cursed the government of Hungary. He wished he'd never been born in that country. He mulled the idea of changing his name. So melancholy was he that he almost completely ignored offers of food or drink. One stewardess told another that he was the most surly passenger that she had ever encountered. From the airport to his home, Laszlo agonized over the words to use with his family. After all the dreams, the sacrifices, the agony, what could he say to them? How would they react? He opened the front door of his house cautiously. At the sight of him, Nora and Sandy burst out in smiles and joyous cheering. Laszlo didn't know what to say. He struggled to find the right word. But before he could say anything, Nora screamed, Laszlo, I have fantastic news. Some angel in heaven loves us. While you were gone, I won the grand prize in the National Lottery of Nepal. My apologies to the government of Hungary. I have no valid reason to believe that it is corrupt. Years ago, my sister had business arrangements in Budapest that, as far as I know, were conducted with propriety by her foreign contacts. Twice I visited Hungary. Although on one occasion I had an unpleasant encounter with policemen, my memory of that nation is very pleasant. Now, if you sympathize with poor Laszlo over his broken dreams, save some of that sympathy for the characters of my story on December 1, 9 Lives Mall, as 2 young ladies gamble their lives in search of thrills. Thank you for watching Dramas, Dreams, and Drollery.